ring to it. I guess every superhero need his theme music. No one man should have all that power. The clock's ticking, I just count the hours.
Welcome to Power Hour on DCU FM every Friday night at 8 p.m. We're going to have some different people in every week, but tonight we have three members of the Compound Martial Arts team coming in with us tonight. And we'll go left to right and introduce yourselves. How does that sound?
Sounds good. Solomon here.
Okay, my name is Alex.
And I'm David.
And you're David. Okay, so y'all have a lot of different experience actually. A lot of it mostly in kickboxing with K1 rules, yeah? I know Alex has competed in a good few MMA fights as well, so we're definitely going to talk about those. And there's been some jiu-jitsu competitions as well, which I would really like to talk about. That will be Solomon and David, yeah?
And me as well.
And yourself, okay. Everybody's done a bit of jiu-jitsu. Good. We'll be all hopefully on some similar page. First thing I'd like to talk about is what actually... I'm sure there's a lot of people tuning in, because I know... to a lot of my friends and a lot of say relatives that wouldn't really know, and who still call it cage fighting. I've told a lot of those people to have a listen. So what is it? Is it Bruce Lee, kind of golden pajamas? Is it more Floyd Mayweather with a few gloves on? Where are we sitting with this?
I would like to describe it as like more pure fighting. In the sense of like, if you go, say you want to box, for example, like I box myself, but like then you come in contact with someone that could maybe outbox you. You could use your legs then.
Yeah, so it's about as few rules as possible, really.
Yeah, like you're not limited to one set of style. You could take them to the ground, choke them out. You could hit them while I'm doing the ground. It seems more violent than it is, but like if you're actually participating in the sport, you realize it's actually an art rather than
hence mixed martial arts, no matter what Meryl Streep says.
Yes. Exactly.
You have to have the eyes as well to see the art in it. There's many people that will be like, oh no, it's just violence, but to me it is art, because I live it by each day. And I would say it's somewhere in the middle between Bruce Lee and Floyd Mayweather with the boxing gloves. Because I believe Bruce Lee is the one that actually started MMA and the concept of MMA, of like free fighting and having no style. And there is limited rules. There is few rules that make it less violent as it should be, like eye gouging and stuff like that, which... it's not really fighting. It's
well, you did say it was in the eye. You have to have an eye for it, or else it's a bit like if you see modern art. I don't know about you guys, but if I see a painting or anything, and you'll see a lot of people read much deeper into these bits of paint on a canvas than I would, and a lot of people would see MMA or really any sport in the same way. They just go, well, these guys are just kicking a ball around a field, or these guys are just laying into each other.
That's correct. That's a very good analogy, and I believe anything that you can put classical music and slow it down in slow motion, and it looks epic. That's art.
That's art.
Yeah,
fair
I think we can agree.
Well, look,
on that.
I think irreverent words of Joe Rogan were advanced problem solving with dire physical consequences.
Yes.
Problem is, there's somebody trying to hit you in the face. Well, okay, you got a few solutions here. You could block it and not get hit in the face. You could step out of the way and not get hit in the face, or you could not solve the problem and get hit in the face.
Yeah,
that's the same thing. Like if the Mayweather Pacquiao fight, for example, they're just going into boxing, but most of my friends, when they watched that fight, they were like, oh my god, that was boring.
And Mayweather fights terribly, and
but like I look at it and I'm just like, he is doing amazing things right there. That's like similar enough to if you now go into MMA and you're looking at it, most people just like, they see so much blood because the gloves are tiny, so obviously you get caught.
The 4-ounce gloves.
But like it's not like everything someone is trying to throw at you, or everything the person is trying to do, there's an answer to that. And like it's when you find someone answering that, and then the other person like returning a question.
It's a giant game of rock, paper, scissors. If you're a stand-up guy, somebody's going to take you down. If you're forever being taken down, somebody's going to have takedown defense, and it's going to go round and around in a circle.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
I really like it.
God, great stuff. I think the main thing is it might actually help people understand, as you were saying, the art behind it. What's it like to actually compete in a competition? And we'll start with you, David.
Well, I guess it's like most other types of sports, you know, it's depending on your experience levels. For me, like the first time I got involved in kickboxing, I was scared out of my mind.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? But with each competition, that fear didn't leave me. You know what I mean? But the competition aspect, the competitive part of me increased, and that kind of took over my fear and wanted me to like, you know, win. You know,
Yeah.
more than to just survive.
That bit of fear actually is probably might be a bit helpful.
It is, you know, it means that you're not gonna just go there and you're not gonna be stupid and, you know, lunge in head first. You want to actually take the time to improve, because for me that fear aspect is what I think helped me improve like as fast as I may have, you know. Also my teammates Saul, Alex, and the rest of the guys, they keep you in check each time, and then when you go in there, you know you've competed with these guys, you've rolled with them, you've sparred with them, you've exchanged techniques.
Yeah,
with
if you're standing across from a guy and you say, wait a minute, I roll with tougher guys in my gym
Exactly.
every week, this is
No.
going to be fine.
Like Alex is like, you know, one of the most accomplished amateur MMA guys in the country, you know, and if you can, you can.
As he
roll-
pats himself on the back.
if you can roll with him, if you can spar with him, you know, there's not
Gracefully.
many other guys that can you know, offer the same kind of caliber as him. So like,
I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah. How would you how do you go about preparing? I've heard all about fight camps and especially weight cutting, but we'll just say everything of bar weight cutting, because I'd like to talk about that in its own right. Somebody says to you, you have a fight, whether it's K1, whether it's a jiu-jitsu competition, or whether it's just a mixed martial arts bout. You've got 3 months. What would you do to prepare?
First of all, no one will ever say that to you. There will be no, like, they would tell you all the information. This you can fight there, or you can fight MMA, you can do a jiu-jitsu competition. No one will ever push you, especially in our club. You have to have the initiative, and once you have the initiative, you have to show that you can actually.
Oh, okay,
do it.
okay. Well, so imagine if it wasn't forced upon you, but it was you saying,
My
okay,
decision.
I am. What date is it today? 3rd of March.
Yeah.
Somebody says to you, would you like to fight on the 3rd of May? And you say, yes, I would. How are you preparing?
First of all, I'll have to make sure that physically I'm in check, mentally that.
What do you
I'm
mean by in check? Because we were in the pub beforehand, and all these guys were drinking bottles of water and painstakingly looking at bread. So,
Well, in check means many. Actually, that's the fun. Like, maybe not so much fun of part. It's check means you have to put in the work for cardio, for explosive power, for power itself, for technique, and we're not.
so for cardio, would you actually go and just go running, or would you do kind of a practical sparring session?
It's
Practical
mixture of
sparring.
Mixture
Yeah,
of everything.
mixture
you
of
know.
everything.
You'd be sparring, you know, you'd be doing the running on your own, but then you got to think, especially more particularly with MMA now. Like MMA is, you know, grappling, punching,
Kicking, wrestling,
kicking,
elbows, knees,
you got
everything.
to train your body for that. So you're not only just running, you're also lifting. You know, not like to get big, but for strength. You know, you're doing explosive power movements. You're doing like prowler. I'm not sure if you've heard of it before.
No.
It's kind of a thing where you will get weights and you'll, you know, push it up in short bursts, you know,
Yeah.
to train that like fast twitch muscle fibers, you know.
Okay, yeah. So doing as much as you can as quick as you for
Yeah.
that'd be for power. Then.
Yeah,
Doing
all,
carries.
all to work like certain muscle fibers in your body.
So when you see an opportunity and you need to uncork something, you're getting 100% out.
Exactly. So that's just a part of how we train our bodies, you know. It's a combination of everything.
And that's just something like the fitness you have for striking, like our coach would say, is not the same thing you're going to be using while you're wrestling. If the endurance you need while you're squeezing onto someone trying to take them down,
Yeah.
but when you're just jabbing out something like it's a
Yeah, it
completely
makes
different-
it almost seem easy. You're just there's no strenuous activity. You're just throwing a few punches. God.
You have to try and make sure you're putting all the work in, like bag work. If it's sprinting you're doing, like personally I just hate long distance running. I just despise
Everybody hates running.
I
No,
don't-
even
I
the
don't
people
think-
who say they like running, they hate running.
I think it's a wrong misconception for every fighter to believe that long distance running is good for them. I believe short distance running it will be better just for mental side. But if you want to get
for
fit,
an endurance kind of stamina point of view.
But if you want to get fit for MMA, you should do the rounds in. Obviously, don't go ballistic at it, but the rounds for sparring, the rounds for rolling, heavy bags, something that will implement in the fight. Not like you're running there, like it's not gonna duplicate how you're gonna feel in a fight. So why would you do that? I feel like it's a waste of time.
Cowboy Cerrone, he had a very interesting point that he no longer he doesn't spar anymore. He doesn't spar anymore. He kind of has it in his head that he has a finite number of headshots and concussions that he can take before he starts losing, whether it be his memory, whether it's his mental capacity. It could even affect him in the fight. If he's not all there mentally, that's going to affect him in fighting as well. So he doesn't spar anymore. It's all drills and training muscle memory. And what would you say about that? Is that just a different train of thought to the sparring route, or could you use the two kind of in tandem?
I would say it's the sparring itself. Like when people, like majority of the time when they're sparring, they're probably trying to break each other's head. Like I went about 10 rounds today after we did some and no one got hurt. It's just like technical sparring. Like you're putting pressure on each other, but every shot is not a shot you're trying to break each other. Like your partners, like you're not trying to break each other every time. Like I watched some videos of people like you could see, go on YouTube, say knockouts from gym or something, and you see people getting knocked out in sparring.
If you're getting knocked out in a gym, you're doing something wrong.
Something very wrong. Like you get, like if you could spar all the time without hurting each other, like we do countless rounds, but we don't. No one's getting hurt at the end. We're still perfectly okay, and we're learning.
Well, you're right. You see, all three of you guys, I know you train in the same place. You're all super friendly when I came in, all very good friends with each other. So I suppose that helps. Being part of the team, because I did say that you're the compound martial arts team and the Riano team, a lot of people see out and they'll see one guy going out to fight another guy, and they'll see it as more of an individualistic sport. Yeah, but it's a lot more than that at the end of the day.
I think for me, especially my first couple of fights, the team aspect of it helped me a lot. I thought, before I saw this with my friend Gustas, well, just name drop right there.
Name drop Gustas. Does he have a Twitter handle or anything you want to pin for him now?
At nline@twitter.com. No, but like I just thought, oh man, these guys just come in here by themselves, fight. It's not like that. Honestly, these guys push you. They help you. They help you through so much. They bring you up when you're down, but they also bring you down when you're up. Like if I'm thinking
ego check.
If I think I'm the best striker, I'll go in there with Solomon. He'll like knock me, like not knock me out, but like make me feel a little.
Yeah, and I said it before the show, and I'll say it again. Anybody that trains in, I wouldn't even confine it to something like martial arts, but something that kind of tests you physically, in a competitive nature. You're never going to find nicer people. Just because there's no ego there. Whatever ego they may have had to begin with, that's long gone from day one.
It's been slapped out of you.
Yeah, it's been slapped out of you, is right.
I even get scared trying to fight on the street, because it's like people don't realize how vulnerable they are when they're actually when they haven't been trained to fight, or like there's a lot of silly mistakes people make, and I'm just gonna back away, because you can hurt people very easily.
What is it about people who it's kind of like if somebody said to you, have you ever played tennis in your life? No, I've never played tennis in your life. Do you think you could play tennis reasonably well? No, of course I couldn't play tennis reasonably well. Have you ever fought or trained in your life? No. Do you think you could fight? Yeah, I could fight. I
think it comes to us actually, primal instincts, and it's in our nature.
It's that gorilla. I'm the biggest gorilla in the village.
We forget we're animals, and we're intelligent animals, but we have an animal side to us. And I think it is really I'm a biggest gorilla in the village.
Combination between brain chemistry and ego. A lot of ego.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk a little bit about jiu-jitsu, because as far as MMA goes, it is mixed martial arts. It's, would you call it a third? Would you call it a third, a quarter of all the kind of the practical MMA that you see in a cage? It's not long ago now that whenever fights would go into the clinch or into kind of a that halfway stage between a takedown and and actually hitting the ground, fans would start booing. That was really up until certain UFC commentators or whether they be Bellator or anything like that had an appreciation for it. To really explain to people that there's still stuff going on here. This is some still very high level, advanced fighting really that's going on here. Would anybody care to explain that to us?
Oh, definitely. Basically, I can remember the first UFC when Gracie came and won, and he was the smallest guy from there. Every time he was about to tap the person out, the commentator would be like, "Oh, he's in a lot of trouble." They had no clue what it is, and people are getting much educated nowadays with the likes of Joe Rogan, trying to explain
Joe Rogan
step
has
by
done
step.
miracles for the UFC. I don't know how they're going to replace him.
I don't think they will.
Yeah.
It's just unreplaceable. But people just need to understand a little bit more, and I think it's the commentator's job to not overcomplicate it, because it's so easy to overcomplicate the ground game. Like, you just say like, "Oh, he's gonna do De La Riva," but who the fuck knows what's De La Riva,
I don't know what a De La Riva is, folks, just so we're clear. And we won't actually get into that because I don't think we have the time.
Please, I don't know either.
You said that a lot of people overcomplicate it when they look at it, and I think
they should just make it simple. Oh, he should push this, he should do that, and people will be more tuned into it.
There is also a lot of people who would oversimplify it as well. This guy's on top and he's trying to hit the other guy. He's obviously in the better position. I think the best way I've ever heard it described was a kind of a bastardization between judo and wrestling, and something completely alien to all of that mixed together.
It's mad how much technique is involved into making something work. Like, for example, like the triangle would be, there's a simple example. I would get people in the triangle and I'd be like, "Why are you not tapping?"
That's my personal favorite.
Are you not tapping? Yeah. And it was last week O'Shane, the coach, just showed it was just little details that was missing. Just make that tiny angle, and that makes all the difference in the thing.
Yeah, shift your hips one way, move a foot this way, catch it a different way, and it just makes
a world of a difference. But if it's not when the fans are watching it from the outside and they're not saying someone getting punched in the face or whatever,
it's boring. No, I don't want to see that.
What are you doing? So if they could just even watch a few jits competition, try and find out what's going on there, you'd be like, because Khabib makes it look like I won't say he's really doing much jits. It's
there's not a huge amount of jits. He just is in if you don't know Khabib, I'm gonna call him Habib. I'm gonna call him Khabib Nurmagomedov. He fights in the UFC, and his entire game is he's got a little bit of striking, not much. It's not great striking. He's got this. It's a really wonderful clinch into like an inside leg trip, and then he just gets on top of you and he just rains down blows. He'll catch you so that you're trying to defend yourself with one arm,
but that's a technicality. He just traps one arm and goes to strike. He never strikes when you have two hands. He makes it an unfair fight. He makes it to the point where you have one hand to defend. Good luck.
And that's why he's been so goddamn successful. And it's interesting to see. I think actually Khabib could be a good way for a lot of casual MMA fans and a lot of casual UFC fans who mightn't have that appreciation for the ground game get into it, because there's definite aspects of whether it's judo with the trips or whether it's kind of even his judo toss is excellent as well, and it's kind of bridging the gap between purely striking and purely jiu-jitsu, and it's a lot more accessible for people. While I have you here, I'd just like to ask a little bit about the environment of amateur mixed martial arts gyms, because even looking, you mentioned the first UFC, was that in 93?
93, 94.
93, yeah. I think it was 93 was UFC 1. That's 24 years ago at this stage. And if I looked at even the first, say, 20 or 30 UFCs, looking at, I've seen bits of all of you competing at some stage over the past couple of weeks, seeing the level that some amateur fighters fight, not to take anything away from the amateurs, but if they were to fight some of the quote unquote professionals that were fighting in the UFC at the time, it'd be a joke. You guys would have a field day. Like a lot of them, they were so heavily weighted towards one thing, or they just, or even if they. So there was one guy who was trying to fight Royce Gracie with one boxing glove on and boxing shoes. Okay, they'd either be so heavily weighted towards one style that they'd be exploited very easily, or they wouldn't have spent enough time training all their different disciplines that compared to the amateur level today, it's night and day. Could you just tell me a little bit about what it's like to actually compete and train?
That's what opened up the eyes. UFC 1, where like it wasn't supposed to be mixed martial arts. It was supposed to be like which style is
which
the
fighting
best.
style is the best.
Yeah, and then a grappling guy, the smallest guy, he was actually chosen from his family to represent, and they specifically chose the smallest looking guy, the least fit guy, because
they
were
could do
so
it anyway.
confident. They were so confident in what they could do, and it just opened up the eyes that if you can't mix, you can't do that art. You know, it's in the name. It's mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
If you can't do one aspect, just don't do it.
If you're not mixing martial arts, you're not really fighting so much as you're competing in a sport.
One sport, yeah, indeed.
I think that's the joke that's been going around with the Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor. If it was a fight, if the two of them met on the side of the street and they decided to fight each other, McGregor would kill him. He would murder him, and it wouldn't even be fair. But if it was a boxing match, that's another story altogether, because you're handicapping one guy to play to the strengths of the other.
In terms of Mayweather, though, I think most boxers in a fight would beat Mayweather, but I think Mayweather's just a really good boxer.
Mayweather's a small guy too. You can't take that away from him. He's what, about 100?
147. Well, he
147.
he weighs.
He fights at 147, so maybe he walks around closer to
He
160.
doesn't cut that much, right? Like,
But he's really gifted at what he hate to go to boxing now, but he's really gifted at what he does.
At what he does, and that's boxing, and he's
That's-
great at it.
yeah. But in a fight, I think not only McGregor, most other boxers, even the boxers he's beaten in a fight, would take him. But he's good at playing the sport, and also so many mixed martial artists are really good at playing the sport.
But not actual fight. You know, so many people would. You know, that's the difference between Khabib. he would take you down, but he would try to finish you. There's so many people who take you down, and they're happy to relax there, and
Because they know they're ahead on points.
Just outbull. Like, as a martial artist, you know, I know it's hard to keep someone down, but at the same time, like, it's not a fight anymore. It's like, oh, I can hold you for 15 minutes in this place. That's not a fight, you know. That's not.
I understand.
If it has to be effective, and now they're changing the rules to make it more favorite to like who actually pushes the action, who makes more damage, and that's actually very good for martial arts like me, David, and Solomon to hear, because we're there to fight. We are not there to play by the rules, you know, and score points. That's not fighting, you know. That's.
I wonder if that decision to change the rule making from whoever is objectively kind of fighting, say, in the more sensible way almost, who's tactically making the best decisions, to the person who's pushing the action. I wonder if that is from the point of view of favoring fighters who do push the action, who are aggressive, or whether it's to favor the viewing experience of it. Is it for the casual fan like me, or even somebody who would have even less of a head about martial arts, who would say, I'm going to tune in just because Conor McGregor's fighting?
if I was to say, I would like be more. I think the rules, they'll probably do it just to please the fan a lot more. Because like, if as a fan myself, if I was to watch a boxing fight, an MMA fight, I would be into it from the technical aspect. I'd be like, oh, look what he's doing there. But a casual fan just watching it would be like, I want to see someone get knocked out. So that's why you
want the show fight. You want the 5-round war between people. You don't want like said a Khabib getting down on top and then fighting for the hand for 3 minutes.
Yeah, like
but
so.
I feel like there'll always be those fans. You know, like you look at every single sport.
Oh, and they're good for the sport. It's wonderful to have these people.
No, yeah, like football for example. Like there are those people that just want to watch 5-5. You know, they don't want to watch like a 1-0 and one team like played really properly. It's the same with mixed martial arts or boxing or kickboxing. There will always be those fans that just want to see lots of knockouts, and then there's those people that like to see those little tiny.
And to bring it back, I think it's a wonderful sport because both of the things are there for the people who have it. It's such a deep sport, but it's not so deep that it's inaccessible. Literally anybody could watch this and be entertained by these two very high level, very fit, very serious and intelligent competitors fighting each other, and just saying, oh well, that guy's good, you know, he got a second round knockout with a flying knee or something. That was spectacular, that was great. And then somebody who reads slightly more into it, well, says, oh, he only got the flying knee because of this setup prior. And then even people that compete themselves, well, the only reason he got this setup prior is because he held him down the round before, and the only reason he held him down the round before is because he faked him with one thing and then tripped him and mounted him and got his shots in. And it's really
chess,
interesting.
Like it's like playing physical chess. Like it's just a battle.
It's like playing mental chess, but you can remove pieces at will, and it's crazy. So I'll circle back and just talk again about what it's like. What is it like to set foot? Say if you were a complete noob to the sport, and you walked into your average mixed martial arts gym. Obviously see a lot of people like yourselves who take it very seriously. I'll just actually sidetrack myself. Would you like to compete professionally?
No doubt. Yeah.
No doubt. Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
100%. You'd all like if you had the option, this is what you'd like to do with your life.
It's not even if we have the option. I
Yeah,
think.
I'm making that option.
Yeah.
I'm making
Yeah.
that option available for myself.
So that's what you're currently fighting for. No
Yeah.
pun intended.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Outside and inside the ring.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I think all of us, us three, I think, you know, even in the gym, it's not a question of maybe. Like, if Solomon wants to compete, you know, he'll compete pro if he wants to compete. It's not a question of maybe. Like, if he said tomorrow I want to compete pro, he'll go. Same with Alex.
But that's not to even make it so that it's so easy to do this.
No,
Like you guys
we couldn't.
obviously put in a huge amount of work. How many hours a day do you spend in the gym? How many hours a day do you train in the gym?
Not enough
You
hours.
just need to. This guy overdoes it. That's what he.
Yeah. Okay.
There's
Tell
no
me,
official
David. How many hours a day are you in the gym training to kill other people?
I'd say 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours.
Is that every single day?
That's an
Monday
easy
to
day.
Friday.
That's
Monday
an
to Friday.
easy
Then you take the weekend.
To work, to make money, to cut back and pay for my coaches, to train more. You know, I want to be the best I can be. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And it's a very good mindset to have. Like, but Monday came in at 5. Well, we came in at 4. We were just sparring, 3 of us there, and then we went to the MMA class from 5 to 7. I went to the boxing class after that from 7 till half 8. And then this guy, this is after since 4 o'clock, left me in there. We had to do like 20 rounds, then go home to like 10. And then like I'm just like, oh my, don't with myself. And then we'll come back on Tuesday and do the same thing over again. Realistically, that's probably pushing it. Like you are probably like doing over the top, but we're not like going full on for the whole 10. It's just training spot, but you do train fairly hard.
You're
And
trying to
then
get the hours in.
yeah, like if you don't put it in, you're not gonna get it out. Like that's just how it is.
So what's the road like? What's it like to go from first day you step foot in the MMA gym? Obviously, you have to train for some amount of years, maybe do a few very, very amateur, like kind of not even amateur competitions, but beginner-oriented competitions. Take me through that. So from the first day you step in and you decide that you want to compete in this, how do you go from there to the big leagues of whatever organization? Take your pick of organizations.
Say if the first thing is sort of you just have to enjoy it. Like if you just come in there with a mindset of I am going to be in the UFC, like you realize it is a very hard journey to get into, a hard journey to go on. So if you go in there just for the first few, just enjoy yourself. Like,
As Mike Goldberg would say, embrace the grind.
embrace the grind. So like if you're in there, you go in, people will choke you out. They won't punch you to kill you, but like you will get like ego checks.
That's the
Very
ego
quickly.
check. That's the day one ego check. Very important.
Like once you've been brought down to size, you'll be like, okay, now
Do I still want to be in the UFC?
And then from that point on, you just like keep building on it. Dedication is a huge part. Like if you say you want to be in the UFC and then you're there training like once a week or once every 2 weeks or twice, whenever, I just walk into.
Yeah, that's my style of doing it, guys. Don't knock it.
And I'm telling you, talent is such a small part. Like it's tiny.
It's
minuscule.
nothing.
Some people, there's some freaks that are born with it. You can't deny that there
Of course,
isn't.
there are
But
some freaks,
but 99% of it is spending
telling you,
4-hour days in the gym.
if you saw, like, I didn't see Alex now when he first started, and I didn't see Saul, but if you saw me, I was the most awkward. I still feel I'm a bit awkward. Most,
The awkward makes you who you are, the hardest guy to punch, It's just so awkward, but that's plays into his style. He doesn't get punched. Watch any fight, Solomon doesn't get punched, We're all awkward in our own way, but it's great. The martial arts gives us opportunity to be to practice something specifically, but at the end of the day, be ourselves.
Do you have to pay to compete in an amateur MMA fight? What are the barriers to entry?
First of all, you have to register for Safe MMA for 6 months or 1 year, which I think it's around 150.
And what's Safe
euro.
MMA? Is this an organization that's the regulatory body?
Yeah, it just came in just to make sure everything is okay with the blood.
Perfect. Yeah.
And then they introduced brain scans as well, which I just got Wednesday.
Ideal. Good
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you get the brain scan and you're clear to fight. For example, I got one Wednesday morning. Wednesday evening they asked me, do you want to fight in Cage Warriors this Saturday? I'm like, let me see the brain scan. Friday it came in, I can fight tomorrow. That's what it is.
So we actually, 2 of the guys are fighting tomorrow. Alex and Saul are fighting tomorrow, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
I'll be fighting in National Stadium. It's a boxing fight. The IATBA or something, Irish.
Pimp your fight. Now, where can people see this? Where can people buy tickets?
National Stadium. Come down and watch. I'm weighing in from 9:30 and 11, between that, and then the fight should be on between 2 and 5, I'll say.
Perfect.
It'll be
Yeah.
fun.
And I'm fighting in a 3 arena at Cage Warriors, and you can get tickets at Cage Warriors on the Facebook page. And I'm gonna weigh in at 11 o'clock. Don't go for that because it's just in a small gym since it's amateur. But the show will be great. It's I'm basically the amateurs are warming up the pros.
Yeah.
And it's a great setup.
That's what I'd like to know. How do you go from amateur to pro? How do you make that gap? Do you have to build up a record? Do you have to build up a name on the circuit? Does a talent scout get you?
For me, I think
It's experience in the gym.
In the gym?
Yeah, Conor McGregor has 1 amateur fight, and then he went to become pro. But right now we are having that opportunity to fight amateur, like on amateur level, much more than when he was an amateur, because
it's gotten more
shows.
popular.
Yeah, more popular, more shows, and it just gives you time in fire. Like time in fire makes you stronger.
So so after you've either built up a name for yourself in the gym, like I think the community is still small enough at this stage that if there's a killer in this gym, you probably know that guy.
Yeah.
And does your coach have to put your name forward to somebody? Does somebody have to approach you and say, here's an opportunity, or how does that work?
It's like, for example, now, like I think I've had like 9 fights at this stage, but like most of the people in my weight class now, like even 2 people that I would like to fight because I thought they were good, they've already gone pro, and the last few fights have been offered the same, like just you have to go pro because there's no one, whatever kind of thing like that. But I personally don't think I'm experienced enough yet to get there. Like, because if I want to do this, I'm going to do it right. I don't want to just go in.
You don't want to go in before you're ready.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So like, I think whenever there's opportunities there for you to go pro, whenever you want to go pro.
So if you are making that name for yourself, and you approach one of the professional, if you approached say Cage Warriors or whoever it was, and you said, I will fight this guy, but I want a pro fight. It's that kind of. There's no kind of formal agreement or contract from them. You kind of.
There will be, and you will never pick your fights. See, he says he wants to fight 2 or 3 people in particular, just because he's on the scene and he knows
these people.
You don't pick your fight, you know, in my opinion. When you turn pro, maybe,
unless you're Conor McGregor, obviously.
Exactly. when you build up a name for yourself at pro, then you can be like, oh, I want to fight this guy, but it's your coach that will be like, listen, I think you're ready, let's push it. And another thing is, I just want to mention, they're pushing Solomon to become pro because he had I don't know, 9 fights, right?
Yeah.
And 5, 6 first round knockouts.
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll make you pretty well recommended.
King.
Yeah,
Over here.
he's
He's
gym.
dangerous.
Yeah.
He's making that kind of that shushing sound with the hand across your neck. I know you guys can't see.
He's not only competing tomorrow, but when are you also compete? When's your next fight after
Like,
that?
where I've got a few. Like, I'm going Manchester then the weekend after that, and like after the IATBA, I'm going Manchester next week to do more boxing. Then we have the kickboxing.
And then Alex has got another MMA fight.
Like,
Okay,
He had one in
next few
Drogheda.
months
That's
is
on the
very busy.
24th, isn't
Yeah.
it? I saw that. That's a different organization though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is just my very last question on the amateur scene is, do these organizations, when they're throwing an event, they obviously have your name, if you've competed before or even at amateurs, they have your name and they kind of know where you stand in that organization. Is it a case of then one day you pick up the phone and they say, we have a pro fight for you versus this guy? Is it then... Will you then sign a contract into that group, or will you just be a kind of a phone number that they call when they want you to fight for them?
You're not
Freelance,
connected.
yeah.
You're freelance. You're not.
You're a free agent.
Until
especially.
you're like, it's usually the big organizations that would say, okay, you can only fight exclusively for us. Because they'll be paying you enough money for you to be like, okay.
To only fight for you
Well,
guys, yeah.
Cage Warriors, Bama, you know, even Bellator, unless you're one of their top fighters.
Unless you're a Rory McDonald
yeah.
for Bellator.
The contract will say, okay, you'll fight for us for this fight, and then you can do your own thing.
And then if you do well, we might ask you to do another one, yeah.
And sometimes then it can become
I
exclusive.
think it's actually good because you have that freedom, you know, and it's not only for fighters, for cutmen, for judges. They can go around and judge anywhere or cut, but for the big organizations that will just be like, no, you have to be only for us. They don't give you that freedom, you know. Maybe like there's more money somewhere else. You have to think about yourself. Like as long as it's a team sport, and as long as you're at the end of the day, you're in the training aspect is the team. Where like I'm trying to push David to be the best he can be. He tried to push him, and so
You're all helping each other.
Yeah, but in the end of the day, it's me in that cage, or it's David in that ring or cage, and it's Solomon in that cage, and it's just him and another guy, and it is a selfish sport at the same time, you know. You have to think about yourself.
If you learn anything today, folks, from this little chat that we've had, just don't call it cage fighting anymore.
Please.
Just like, I know that it's technically what they're doing. They're technically fighting in a cage, but that's a bit like calling people that play football, they're playing field kickabout, that's where they are and that's what they're doing, but it's not really what they're doing.
Exactly.
So if you'd like to be politically correct, I know we're into that nowadays, they are mixed martial artists at the core. I'd just like to talk a little bit about the status of mixed martial arts in this country, because I know it's something that's really taken for granted and it's really breezed over. I know when Conor McGregor won and he became the first champion in UFC history to be a concurrent champion at 2 belts. Who's he? Who's Conor McGregor? I don't know. Google him. The only Irish official that even bothered to shout him out or congratulate him, it was Jerry Adams on Twitter. That was it. There was no other body that said well done, Conor, or anything like that. And I think it really it's a shame, because I generally thought Irish people were very proud of their people, and I just think in this country it's a shame to have such a bias against the sport.
I think it's a tough one. I think it's the society and
the same people who are calling it cage fighting are the same people who are not congratulating him.
Exactly. That's probably the truth, and first of all, mixed martial arts is a young sport, it's
comparatively
very, very young, and it's gonna take some time to grow. You know, boxing is big.
Boxing's
is
huge.
also a combat sport, and equally,
More dangerous, actually.
More
more
if
dangerous,
it depending on the look, a lot of the reports are inconclusive, and it's
Yeah,
something like
we may never know. But
debatably.
what I'm trying to say is like, it will take its time, but it will come. You know, I'm not gonna sweat over it. You know, if people are taking the time, because eventually it will come. It's like it's a young sport, and in Ireland, how it's even younger.
Yeah,
You know.
people really have only in this country. There was obviously a lot of OG fans before the Conor McGregor craze hit, and that kind of McGregor craze has done wonders for the sport and the status of it in this country. It's still not quite where we'd like it to be. Is it just me, or was there a Irish MMA foundation or federation? There was actually a
IMMAF.
IMMAF, something like that. You can Google that as well. But it's at least there is now an official regulatory body, a kind of a government regulatory body, and that's really again going to help bump it up in the rankings.
Yeah, and even something else they have there is the IMMAF competitions. It's nearly like the Olympics, really. Like, so they have a few like qualifiers and then fighters from around around Europe, really. I think
Around the world or
yeah.
Europe.
And like it's basically like the Olympic, like little things like that makes a huge difference for like the sport.
And in the last small amount of years, it's just grown. Honestly, like
Exponential.
I know people still think it's a small thing, but the next generation.
Hey, the UFC sold for billions. It's no small
Yes,
thing
of
anymore.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not in the dark. Everyone knows about it. That's great. You know, now we just need to educate and spread the word in the best way possible, because we can do it the right way or we can do it the wrong way. We can be like, oh, we're just killers, and you know, or we can just sit down, relax, chill, and
I've
have
said
a
it
conversation
before.
like you.
I'll say it again. Fighters are the nicest people you'll ever meet, because they're the most humble people you'll ever meet, hands down.
There's some scary fighters though.
I don't give a shit. If I see Brock Lesnar in a dark alley, I don't care how much he's competed, I'm running.
Yeah.
Definitely.
There's some scary fighters there's
I've
some
had
scary
this-
fighters who just want to hurt people, but I think they're a real minority.
Yeah, of course.
Like the evolution of the sport, like what you were saying earlier on about like the amateurs now in comparison to back in UFC 1, for example. And
Yeah.
if you put them together, like you see a huge.
You guys would
progression.
absolutely kill them. It wouldn't even be funny.
There's a huge progression. Like from the first fighter there till you see TJ Dillashaw, Dominic Cruz. Now it's a completely different style of fighting
Yeah.
to what you see there. So it is growing, it's evolving, and I would love to see like 5-10 years from now where it's gonna be like. So
You
I'm
just
happy
have
with
to
the
keep
progression.
with it. You have to not stagnate in a
Develop,
sport
evolve.
like that. Evolve always, and that's it. It translates to life. If you stagnate, you become that boring, sorrowed person that just thinks about the past all the time. You have to evolve. You have to keep pushing forward. And I like how martial arts is changing my life and how it's changed. Like even outside training, you know, even though I'm spending 6 hours
Yeah.
a day, you know. It's just because it keeps me in check, as you say, keeps me humble, and it makes me realize that if I don't evolve in any aspect of my life, then there's some trouble, there's some concerns, you know, and I think people should realize that.
yeah, that's something else people take for granted is just what it really does to you as a human being. Like you just before you go in there, like, and you realize how helpless you are when a man is on top of you trying to kill you, and like that's basically
Yeah.
what it is. If you don't tap, you could just get choked out, like, and from that alone you gain in competing so much mental strength. Like you just like, I've been through worse, I could get past all that.
Exactly.
Like it helps you a lot outside of fighting and in the ring or cage as well.
Who'd have thought there'd be such philosophy from the cage fighters? You know,
Hashtag
guys,
deep.
you got to give them a lot more credit than they get. Okay. I was going to briefly touch on weight cutting, but I think it'd be a lot more. I think it'd be a lot more interesting if we chatted a little bit about UFC 209. What do you think? We've got 10 minutes left. We chat about UFC 209 instead.
Khabib is out.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know this up until you told me 20 minutes for the show. I was watching fights from both sides, the last 3 or 4 fights they'd had. I thought I'm pretty well read in the two at this stage, and they pull it. Can we just pretend for the next 5 minutes that they haven't pulled the fight?
Okay.
And who do you think's going to win?
I would go for Khabib if I'm being honest. They're going for Tony, yeah.
I'm going for Tony too.
I'm going
Yeah,
for
you're
Tony,
3-1 on Tony.
I think Khabib was gonna win that as well.
Oh, so are we tied up then? Is it
Tony.
2-all?
Honestly,
Okay. Let's hear the Habib side first, and then me and Alex will we'll collaborate on the Tony side.
Now, if you go from the Michael Johnson fight, you'll probably be like, oh, he's strike, he can get hit, he can get whatever. But that guy is an animal. Like, if he gets you, if he holds on to you, I know, like, Tony does all the fancy barrels or whatever, but Khabib,
He won't be able to do that
like,
against.
he won't be able to do all this fancy shit against Khabib. Like, he's not someone that just grabs you and then you could do. If he grabs you, he's not letting go.
This is the guy who trains to fight bears in.
Dagestan,
Where's he?
Russia.
Dagestan. This is the guy who trains by fighting bears. He's not letting you go.
Yeah, that is not even when he's holding on to you. He's not trying to just sleep there. He's trying to get you and finish you at the same time. I don't think this. I think the strength plays a huge aspect in the two fight, and I don't.
But
see
that's
Tony
not-
staying away from him for like. It was a 3 or 5 round. It was meant to be
5 round fight.
I
Yeah,
don't
you-
see him staying away from him for that long. Like,
You did say that the strength is a huge part of it. That's not to diminish his ability and takedowns. I want to really stress that that inside leg trip. His judo throw is excellent. It's like a sambo or combat sambo background he
He's
has.
a champion of sport at Sambo.
Yeah.
His father is a judo black belt, Sambo black
Yeah, and
belt.
you can see the translate. So when you have a guy who's as freakishly strong as Habib,
And with the
and with this animal-like strength, this black bear-like strength, it's nuts.
For me as well, like I like to look at the mental aspect of fighters, and I think Khabib is one of the most mentally strong.
Yeah, he's mental, all right.
It's just
Like,
where he comes from.
If you look at his last fight,
Yeah.
I will win. He's hitting the guy in the face. You need to quit. He's like,
Oh, he was yelling at him.
Yeah.
He was. This is no joke. He was knocking him with elbows and pounding him with this giant Dagestan fist, yelling, "You need to quit, Michael Johnson. You professional fighter. You need to stop this."
it's just the way it is. Like, and I just feel like he like I know people say he will break the fighter very often in fighting, but I just feel like he could do that to Tony Ferguson. Like, he would push him very, very deep.
Okay.
And Tony likes to do his fancy stuff, his rolls.
But he's so entertaining to watch.
he's
I want him to
entertaining.
win just for pure entertainment value.
But like, Khabib will always be there. He's not gonna back down. And also, Tony's not known as a power puncher. He doesn't stop too many people. He's more of a submission artist. But especially with his Darce choke.
He's got an incredible Darce choke off his back as well.
Khabib hasn't lost and he hasn't been submitted. So
Okay. Alex, why do you think Tony Ferguson can beat Habib Nurmagomedov?
First of all, the mental aspect is huge for Khabib now when he mentions it. But second of all, Khabib, Tony, he's mentally there as well. He's really tough. He has been through wars. He doesn't mind getting hit, which I wouldn't recommend to any of the fighters or on the street. But he doesn't quit as well, and I've just felt that there is a possibility in 5 rounds for him to catch something.
I think especially the way he's able to blend. I was watching a breakdown on this. This is my own ideas. I'm not going to pretend they were, but it's the way he's able to blend the ranges as well to go from being
good
that
video.
because his reach. He's got 6. I think this is huge. He's got 6 inches of reach on Habib.
You spar Dave and you realize range
You realize
is very huge.
You realize
it's
how
a
much
huge
reach
part.
is. Sure, that was one of McGregor's points as well, wasn't it? He's got these huge lanky arms that dangle almost to his knees, and that's how he's hitting you from all these weird angles. I think we saw from the Michael Johnson Nurmagomedov fight that Habib can be rocked.
Yeah.
It's not a black bear hitting him. It's a professional fighter, and I think Tony Ferguson can keep him. I don't think Tony Ferguson minds if he gets taken down. That's not an issue. I don't think he minds if he's in the clinch. I think he's still okay with that. I don't mind if he stands and trades. I think he's much more well-rounded than Habib is.
Indeed, but now when I think about it from just technical point of view, it's like, he doesn't mind getting grappled until you grapple with Khabib. Like, so maybe down 50-50. They could.
Okay. You know what? I'm firmly still in the Ferguson camp, even though this fight is not happening. Has there been a reschedule mentioned?
No.
This be like a third time they put out. Like they've meant to fight each other like 3 or 4 times at this stage.
Two for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely
this is
2.
the third one.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous.
Okay.
You gotta look
Is
forward
it-
to Tyrone.
So the actual title. This isn't even for a title fight, folks. This is honestly the most exciting fight in the card, in my opinion, and it
Yeah.
wasn't even for a belt. The real title fight here is Tyron Woodley versus Stephen Thompson.
Wonder Boy.
This is crazy. Okay, I want to get votes. Those of you for Thompson say aye. Wow, that's some deafening silence.
Ooh.
Wait, give me. Nah.
No, I don't. I can't give Thompson. I just don't think so. I think Thompson could very. It really depends on how the fight goes. If Tyron Woodley is a massive wrestler, he's all-American wrestler. If he gets Wonder Boy, as he's known on the ground, he's not going to be very wondrous down there as he's getting pummeled with elbows.
You could see that in the first round, in the first fight. As you mentioned, Tyron Woodley might not be the better striker than Stephen Thompson, but he's more well-rounded.
What about that guillotine choke? That goddamn was that in the 4th round?
What?
That goddamn guillotine for about a minute and a half. He choked the goddamn life out of this poor guy, and he didn't tap for
But
some
did he,
reason.
though? Like.
I'm sorry. No. I don't. Tyron Woodley. First of all, he's a 200-pound gorilla of a man. Okay, he's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. If anybody thinks he didn't have that choke in, I'd be very surprised.
Our own coach, Oisin McCabe, another name drop.
Another name drop. Does he have a Twitter handle? Anything we can shout out for him?
Compound
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 Fitness.
Fitness.
Compoundfitness.ie.
Of course, yeah. Let's not.
Greatest coach in Ireland according to these guys.
He's the greatest coach.
Oh, full
Period,
stop.
yeah.
Full stop. Sorry.
He's just our little secret, hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll find out. But he will tell you himself that there's just little details. He maybe, like black belts even make mistakes. There's just a little
Everyone
detail.
makes mistakes. That's the beauty of the martial arts
Exactly.
path. You have to reassess, and you have to learn little tweaks, even though you're a black belt. When you become brown belt or black belt, you don't stop learning. You have to keep little details in check. And I feel like he had the guillotine wrapped, but he wasn't crunching enough
He was
to the
pulling.
side. Yeah, he was pulling,
You're
which
right,
actually
yeah.
releases power.
He was
That's
he
why
was he was
it's out.
full on. He was full on. He didn't shift his weight.
And you use less energy when
We're
you're
all in here making little bicep poses in the studio, just in case you don't know. Google what a guillotine chokes look
Arnold
like. It's
Schwarzenegger
basically like your schoolboy headlock. It's kind of reversed, but you have your legs around him as well, and you're trying to basically decapitate him with like your wrist bone.
Decapitated.
But Alex will tell you, when you have the guillotine in, when you're doing it properly, you use less energy. But when you're not doing it right,
you
just
can get.
squeezing
I mean,
it
you
around,
could
so-
see the just even the muscle popping on Tyron Woodley as he was cranking
And he-
that.
I was still
noticed-
surprised it didn't tap, like, because even that alone should at least get some sort of a neck crank or
He
whatever.
probably
Listen,
did though. But
I'm like
you know,
y'all,
spend for the money.
you all heard Joe Rogan say he's gonna rip his head off. He's gonna literally rip it. Like, I don't care if he's choking him, his head's gonna separate. And they actually credited it to
small.
Thompson's. He had a small neck and a small head, and that's why he didn't tap. He couldn't get like that bottle opener grip under his chin.
People try to oversimplify stuff. You know?
I think Stephen Thompson's an absolute hero, and since none of you guys are rooting for him, I'm rooting for Stephen Thompson
Why?
tomorrow night.
why? What do you?
I think if Tyron Woodley, for some reason he tried to box with him the last fight, for some weird reason, he tagged him once, maybe twice. I think it was in the 3rd round, and he showed that Tyron Woodley may have knockout power, and if he catches Thompson with it, it's going to be very, very bad for him. I have faith I've a lot of faith in Thompson's striking, his weird stance, his weird sport karate, his kind of bobbing on his hips and his pelvis movement. I think he's got it. Almost only just to play devil's advocate.
I don't know what round and how.
I think it's got to be, if it goes late, Woodley will wrestle him and murder him. I'm gonna say late 2nd round or early first round head kick knockout.
Wow,
Interesting.
that'd be something.
Very good.
If you bet that and it actually happens, you're gonna be rich.
God, I hope so. I hope so. Listen, anyway, thank you very much, guys, for coming on. That's been the Power Hour this Friday night. Do you have anything to pimp before you go?
Saw King Simon, Instagram.
So, Instagram, okay.
Instagram Alextazy MMA and.
I'm not these Instagram kids.
Oh, you're much too cool for that. What do you got?
Save it all up. My old Facebook. And
You're
also we all gotta mention Oisin McCabe, like he's
Yeah, I'll link something to the gym or some way people can sign up on the SoundCloud so people can check it out afterwards. Okay.
We want to thank you as well, man. Thank you.
Oh, no worries, no worries. My absolute pleasure. I was really excited for this one, guys. I hope to have. Do you know what? I'd love to have you in again some stage. Especially maybe after you've had a few fights in a couple of weeks, just to chat about what that's like. Yeah.
Sure.
Perfect.
Sound good, guys?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Absolutely perfect. Thank you very much. And we'll be back next Friday night at 8 p.m. on the Power Hour. I'd be lying if I said I knew what guest I had coming in, but we'll see you next time.
The system broken, the school's closed, the prison's open. We ain't got nothing to lose.